A major storm rocked Ferrari after the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix. The disappointing result was compounded by a leaked internal radio communication that revealed the deep frustration of their two star drivers, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton. The leak wasn't just a heated moment during a race. It was a revealing glimpse of the trust issues between the drivers and the team. What was in the leaked Ferrari radio communication, and why did it become such a hot topic? Let's discuss it. Weekend at the Hungaroring initially felt like a stage for Ferrari's comeback. Leclerc impressed in qualifying, setting a perfect lap to take pole position from Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, and George Russell. Fans saw this as a glimmer of hope that Ferrari would end its string of strategic errors and poor results from the first half of the season. However, as the old Formula One saying goes, hope can be dashed as quickly as a botched pit stop. Things began to crumble as soon as the starting lights went out. Leclerc managed to maintain the lead, but he was immediately under pressure from McLaren and Red Bull. At this crucial moment, Ferrari once again demonstrated their classic weakness of being too slow to make decisions. While rival teams reacted quickly with aggressive undercut strategies, Ferrari made a decision that raised major questions once again. They allowed Leclerc to stay on the track with severely worn tires, seemingly ignoring the danger signals in the data and from the driver. Lap by lap, his car's grip eroded, causing his hard-earned lead to evaporate. Leclerc's tone over the radio changed from calm to frustrated while he was behind the wheel. "We're going to lose this race with these things," he said firmly, issuing a stern warning to his team. But, as had happened too often in the past, his warning was met with silence. Finally, as his position plummeted lap by lap, he uttered the chilling words that are now making headlines across the media. "You just had to listen to me." It wasn't an emotional outburst, but rather a piercing, flat tone, more painful than anger. It was an explosion born of years of accumulated frustration from Ferrari's strategies that often went wrong at crucial moments. This time, the whole world could hear it live. Meanwhile, on the other side of the garage, Lewis Hamilton started the race from P12, a position that had been challenging from the moment the lights went out. He needed an aggressive strategy to break into the front, an early pit stop for an undercut, a timely tire change, or a bold tactical move to disrupt his opponent's rhythm. However, like Leclerc, Hamilton was stuck in the DRS train for too long, circling behind the pack with no opportunity to attack. "I'm a sitting duck behind these guys," he said over the radio. Not in an explosive tone, but with the resignation of a seven-time world champion who knows he is helpless. Lap after lap, his frustration was evident, not only in his voice, but also on the track with a car that was fast in certain sectors, but never given the chance to show its teeth. There were no daring maneuvers from the pit wall. No strategic gambles were made. There were no breakthroughs to unsettle the opponents. Hamilton could only watch golden opportunities pass him by while he was stuck in a strategy. That felt more like waiting for a miracle than creating one. This audio leak turned the on-track drama into a major crisis for Ferrari. Leclerc's bitter, disappointed voice and Hamilton's complaints of immense mental exhaustion sounded raw and uncensored, without the veneer of diplomacy. Every word was like a bullet, piercing the wall of secrecy that usually protects the relationship between driver and team. For the fans, it offered a rare glimpse into the raw emotions of the drivers as the pressure reached its peak and the strategies began to fray. Social media exploded with heated analysis, wild speculation, and debate. Pundits, journalists, and diehard fans alike wondered, is Ferrari still in control? Or are they losing their way in the competitive storm? The Hungaroring is known for being a notoriously difficult circuit on which to overtake. Every position here is a valuable asset, to be defended at all costs. The key to victory is not just speed, but also strategic ingenuity, such as maintaining track position, anticipating undercuts, and forcing rivals to react first. However, Ferrari did the exact opposite. Their pit instructions were late. Their tire decisions were too conservative, and they were always a step behind McLaren and Red Bull's calculations. The results were tragic. Charles Leclerc, who started the race from pole position with high hopes, gradually lost the lead and dropped to fourth place. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton never got close to podium contention, trapped in a strategy that left him helpless under pressure on the track. For Ferrari, this wasn't just a loss, it was proof that one wrong decision at the Hungarian ring could ruin any chance of victory. It wasn't just about Hungary. It was a pattern that had plagued Ferrari for years. Flawed strategies, late decisions, technical failures at crucial moments, and wasted golden opportunities. It was as if a curse had befallen this legendary team, causing it to repeat its old mistakes, despite repeated promises to change. Leclerc was now openly questioning whether the team was following the agreed-upon plan or getting lost in the pressure. His tone on the radio had shifted from disappointment to barely contained anger. Meanwhile, Hamilton, who had begun his project with Ferrari with so much promise, was starting to doubt whether the team could give him another shot at the World Championship. For a driver who had already tasted the pinnacle of success, such doubts could affect the morale of the entire team. In Formula One, a slow car or a bad pit stop can be remedied with a technical upgrade or a new strategy. However, a loss of trust between driver and team is a much deeper wound that cannot be healed by changing components or using simulation data. Once that bond is broken, every instruction from the pit wall is met with doubt. Every pit stop feels like a high-stakes gamble, and every lap becomes a test of patience and tolerance. This is the danger now lurking in Ferrari. They must contend not only with Red Bull's speed and McLaren's strategic ingenuity on the track, but also face a far more complex internal battle, winning back the heart's confidence and sense of security of their drivers before the rift becomes unbridgeable. Following the Hungarian Grand Prix, rumors intensified that Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton would demand more control over race strategy. This was a clear sign that the relationship between the drivers and their teams was beginning to fray. Some even speculated that both drivers were prepared to ignore calls from the pit wall if they deemed the decision wrong or detrimental to their position on the track. This created a tense atmosphere in the Ferrari garage, where every instruction had the potential to be disputed. Mid-race, the pressure was no longer just on the engineers and strategy, analysts behind the scenes, but also on the team's top management. Directly, observers, former drivers, and even the Italian media unanimously urged Ferrari to overhaul the team before the summer break to restore confidence in their star drivers and prevent the crisis from escalating into open conflict. Ferrari is at a crucial crossroads. They must face the harsh reality and make drastic changes to regain the confidence of their drivers, or allow the situation to deteriorate, which could ultimately lead to the loss of two of the biggest names on the grid. Hungary should have been a positive turning point for the team. Instead, however, it has the potential to trigger the biggest internal revolt at Maranello in years. Can Ferrari restore the confidence of its two stars? Or will the 2025 Hungarian Grand Prix be remembered as the beginning of the end of their partnership? Leave your thoughts below.